Thank you for calling the Meet Me Conference Bridge. Please enter your room number. Welcome to your conference bridge. Please enter your password now.
You are the first party on a conference call. Please wait.
When it's red, it's live.
Okay.
That's live.
Hit that, yeah.
Okay, you're right, okay.
Yeah. Megan, we need Dean, excuse me. Okay.
That's live.
Got it.
And now, when it's red.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. I hereby call to order the Board of Directors' regularly scheduled meetings of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, New Jersey Transit Rail Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Bus Operations, Inc., New Jersey Transit Mercer, Inc., and New Jersey Transit Morris, Inc. I would like to take this opportunity before we formally begin the substance of the meeting to welcome our new board members. First, former State Senator Bob Gordon, who currently serves as a commissioner of New Jersey's Board of Public Utilities and has been a tireless advocate for the improvement of New Jersey Transit Corporation. James D. Adams, a licensed professional engineer and vice president for KS Engineers. Sanjika Doshi, a councilwoman in the township of Cherry Hill. Cedric Fulton, former president of MTA Bridges and Tunnels and former director of Port Authority Tunnels, Bridges, and Terminals. Richard Morocco, the recording secretary and general counsel of the Hotel Trades Council, and David Rasmussen, a New Jersey Transit train conductor who serves as legislative representative and delegate for Smart Transportation Division Local 60. We are grateful to have you on the board. And at this time, I would offer to the board members, anyone who wants to make a statement, but knowing that Senator Gordon has a statement for us, we're going to elect first. Push the little metal piece, it'll turn red.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here and grateful to Governor Murphy for the opportunity to make a contribution as part of this newly reconstituted board. I look forward to working along with our chair and my new colleagues on the board to achieve our goal of providing our customers with safe, reliable, and affordable service that they have a right to expect. More than 1 year ago, on December 20th, 2018, at the Summit Rail Station, I stood beside Governor Murphy when he signed Senate Bill 630, the legislation that restructured the Board of New Jersey Transit. The legislature, by passing S 630, and the governor, by signing it, have issued a mandate to us to establish an independent, proactive, and fully engaged board of directors that will provide the guidance needed to turn the nation's third largest transit agency into a national model once again. Just as a corporate board is responsible to its shareholders, we are responsible to our shareholders, New Jersey Transit's customers, and the taxpayers of the state of New Jersey. Few would dispute that fixing New Jersey Transit is the greatest challenge facing our state and one of its greatest priorities. I believe that unless we restore services to the level expected by the public, the economic future of the state is at risk. At some point, given the impact of commuting on quality of life, people will leave the state or decide not to move here. Similarly, if businesses decide that employee commuting is not reliable enough, they will depart or choose to locate elsewhere. We have no other alternative than to go forward. In closing, I need to make a note about a new development. As you know, I am a commissioner of the Board of Public Utilities, And this week, I was informed by the Attorney General's office that there is a statute that raises questions about whether a commissioner of the BPU can sit on the board of New Jersey Transit. This statute, enacted in 1911, appears to be unique to the BPU. I am told that no comparable restriction is applied to any other agency besides the BPU. For history buffs, I would point out that this appears to be part of a package of progressive legislation that Governor Wilson advanced in an effort to try to contain the influence of the railroad barons and the county bosses. Clearly, that doesn't really apply to my case. I do believe the question will be resolved in a matter of days, but in the meantime, on the advice of counsel, I will not be voting on any item on today's agenda. My friends, we have a lot of work to do, but I am confident that we are going to succeed. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator Gordon. And for the record, for the Secretary, we will do a roll call vote on each motion we take tonight so that the record is clear on votes. Are there any other members that would like to make a statement? Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairperson, for the opportunity to introduce myself. Let me begin by expressing how honored I am to be sitting on the board of New Jersey Transit. It is both exhilarating and humbling to be part of one of the largest transportation agencies in the country, to be part of an operation that bears the awesome responsibility of getting 250 million passengers to work, to school, to the doctors, and back home again each year. And to be part of a team of over 10,000 dedicated staff members that keeps New Jersey Transit moving almost 1 million passengers each and every weekday. I look forward to working with this team to take on the very serious challenges facing New Jersey Transit. As a regular rider and as a labor leader that represents thousands of New Jersey residents who rely on public transportation to get to and from work, I understand in an acute way the importance of access to safe, reliable, and affordable public transportation. I understand that a late train or bus can cost someone their livelihood, and that lack of access to transportation can slam the door shut on both work and educational opportunities. I won't pretend to have a silver bullet that will magically fix all the problems that New Jersey Transit is facing. I will, however, promise to work tirelessly to help continue to improve New Jersey Transit and make it something we can all be proud of. Thank you very much, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you so much. Is there any other board member? Mr. Adams?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, for allowing me this brief time to introduce myself. I, again, like my two colleagues, are both humbled and honored to be able to serve on the New Jersey Transit Board at this critical time in their history. I look forward to working with my fellow board members, the excellent staff at New Jersey Transit, and also the legislators, senators, and congressmen involved in the process, and also, most importantly, the New Jersey Transit family. I look forward to helping New Jersey Transit reach its core mission of providing safe, reliable, convenient, and cost-effective service to our many customers throughout the state and the region. Thank you.
Ms. Doshi?
Thank you for the time. I would also say I'd like to thank Governor Murphy. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Governor Murphy and State Senate President Steve Sweeney for recommending me for this position, and I look forward to working with all of you. And I just wanted to say that I will do my best and work hard and contribute where I can to improve and expand New Jersey Transit, especially in relation to South Jersey. Thank you.
Mr. Fulton?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, all. First, I want to thank Governor Murphy and the Senate Judiciary Committee for appointing me to this board. I consider it an honor and a privilege to serve the citizens of this region. After close to 30 years in the transportation industry, all of it in New Jersey and New York, I know firsthand how important New Jersey Transit is to the people who live and work in the region. From quality of life to jobs, recreation, and the economy, we are impacted by how well our transportation systems work. My goal on this board is to help the governor, the legislature, my colleagues on the board, and perhaps most importantly, help Ken and the professional employees of NJT deliver the first-class, safe and reliable transit services that the citizens of New Jersey deserve. Customer service has to be top priority. Safety and security cannot be compromised. System reliability is vital. Resources are precious, and to that end, we need strategic planning and direction that is an outgrowth of vision and leadership to help guide our decisions today as well as into the future. I am sure that most would agree our ability to improve is directly related to stable funding, a strong, motivated workforce, along with strategic and consistent infrastructure investment. While the challenges are many, I stand ready to act with a sense of urgency to help New Jersey Transit retain its former glory as one of the most highly respected transit organizations in the country. Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I also look forward to assisting the other board members. I appreciate the opportunity. I want to thank my general chairman, Jerome Johnson, for having the confidence in me to nominate me for this position. I bring to the board over 30 years of railroad experience as a conductor. I think that my firsthand experience and my knowledge on the ground with the men and women that I work with will serve this board well. So I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to our challenges.
Well, I can say for Deanie, Edmund, and I, we're very happy to not be the only three people sitting up here anymore. That was a criticism we often received without any ability to control it. So we're certainly happy to have all of you here, the breadth and depth of experience and years of service to not only government and the private sector and labor, but just as New Jerseyans, I think speaks volumes to what this board will be able to do. I do, though, have to say I promised Joyce that this didn't mean she got 13 new bosses. So we will be very, when I first got here, there was much to say about making sure Joyce was okay by our good friends and visitors that come to visit us regularly. So I want to make sure you all know that we are not giving Joyce 13 new bosses, okay? So it's all good on that front. That's right, you can applaud Joyce anytime you want. And we also promise we won't do this in the beginning of every meeting so that we can get to the business at hand. So with that, Joyce, we have the public safety announcement.
Yes, next is a public safety announcement. Safety Officer Mark Geisler will deliver the public safety announcement.
Good evening. At New Jersey Transit, your safety is our highest priority. Please listen to these safety instructions in case of an emergency. In an emergency, announcements will be made over the loudspeaker by a uniformed police officer. The primary exit for this location is the stairwell located in the lobby adjacent to the elevators. There is a second staircase through that door. The New Jersey Transit Police will call for additional assistance, administer CPR, and use a defibrillator located near the elevator if necessary. Fire extinguishers are located in the front and back of this room. Please be guided by the directions of New Jersey Transit Police and staff. Thank you and have a safe day.
Thank you. Yes, good evening, Chair Gutierrez, Cacchetti, and board members. I will now take roll call. Board Member Adams.
Present.
Board Member Ajmani. Present. Board Member Doshi. Present. Board Member Fulton. Present. Board Member Gordon. Here. Board Member Greaves. Here. Board Member Marocco. Present. Board Member Rasmussen. Here. Board Member Caulfield.
Here.
Chair Gutierrez, Cacchetti.
Here.
Thank you. Next is the open public meetings notice. Adequate notice of today's regularly scheduled meetings of the Board of Directors of the New Jersey Transit Corporation, New Jersey Transit Rail Operations, New Jersey Transit Bus Operations, New Jersey Transit Mercer, and New Jersey Transit Morris has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and Public Law 2018, Chapter 162. The meetings will occur concurrently. Notices were filed on February 6, 2020, with the Secretary of State. These notices were sent to newspapers of general distribution, posted in the main entrance of New Jersey Transit headquarters, published on the corporation's website, and sent each individual, agency, and organization that requested such notice. The meetings are viewable on the corporation's website in real time and will be video recorded, archived, and made available to the public. Minutes will also be archived and published on the website. Thank you.
To enter to discuss personnel matters, contract negotiations, and the status of pending and anticipated litigation and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege including but not limited to the personal injury claim of Raphael Robinson and the financial advisor for the New Jersey Transit Grid. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, Joyce, would you please take roll?
Here.
Yes.
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield? Chair Gutierrez Gacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We shall return momentarily. officially my one. I hereby reconvene the open session board meetings. Board Secretary, please take roll call.
Roll call. Board Member Adams.
Present.
Board Member Ajmani.
Here.
Board Member Caulfield.
Here.
Board Member Doshi. Board Member Fulton.
Here.
Board Member Gordon. Board Member Greaves.
Here.
Board Member Marocco.
Here.
Board Member Rasmussen.
Here.
Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti.
Here. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the December 11, 2019 board members?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Joyce, would you call roll, please?
Board Member Adams.
Yes.
Board Member Ajmani.
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield.
Yes.
Board Member Doshi. Board Member Fulton.
Yes.
Board Member Marocco. Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti.
Yes.
Thank you.
At this time, Kevin Corbett will present the President and CEO's monthly report.
Good evening, and thank you, Chair and members of the board. Certainly, good evening to all the members of the public here today as well. I certainly want to welcome Senator Weinberg, who has joined us this evening. And to begin with, I would also like to welcome our new board members today, first day, and some very good committee meetings. It's a real pleasure to have you all on board. They certainly bring to our organization invaluable experience and perspective that will help us accelerate our transformation. I'm grateful for your service and look forward to working with you. Before I get to the heart of my update, an important housekeeping announcement. We just came out of executive session under the leadership of our board chair. Beginning next month, this board will move its executive sessions to the end of our meetings. Yeah.
Okay, you can give us a round of applause. Thank you.
Thought you'd appreciate that. This means the public speakers will no longer need to wait until the executive session is to end before addressing the board. They can do so right here at the start of the meeting. We heard what you've been saying and the feedback on that, and we understand, that you take time out for the day, your day to come to our meetings. We want to encourage that, and certainly to be active in the meetings. But the executive session, we had to do it in a way that also honors the rules and regulations governing, public meetings, et cetera, and executive session. But we're able to do that in a way that on ad hoc basis, that may have to happen before a meeting, but generally that we are going to do that. So we do the executive sessions at the end of the meeting after the public comment sections. Now I'd like to touch on some of the items since our last meeting. As you know, it's been a few months, and I'd like to update you on some of the progress we've made since the last meeting. I think just looking at the numbers, as you know, we've been more transparent, putting more up on our website and more access. And I think it's clear that despite that there's still much work to be done, New Jersey Transit is indeed turning the corner. Start first on the bus report. On the bus side, we celebrated a recent milestone in our continued effort to restore the rank of bus operators. We just graduated our 700th new bus operator since January 2018. And that certainly is a testament to the hard work of our HR and bus operations training department. Between March and September 2018, we were averaging about 40 missed bus trips per day. In the past 6 months, our daily average is less than 9 missed trips. And that's keep that in mind, that's out of a total of about 10,000 daily trips provided each day. These new hires alone will result in nearly 2,000 more passenger trips each weekday, or more than 500,000 additional passenger trips per year this year. On the bus side, I'm also pleased to announce that in December, New Jersey Transit secured a $17.3 million FTA grant to buy up to 25 new articulated buses. Those are the long, sort of the accordion-type buses. And in addition to the 85 that we already put on order last year. We competed nationally for these funds. Over 318 applications were made to the FTA from 270 applicants in 43 states and territories, and New Jersey Transit was one of only 7 applicants to receive the highest award through this grant program of $17.3 million. The buses we're buying with this grant will be deployed in garages in Hudson, Bergen, and Essex counties, and will help us to accommodate growing ridership in northern New Jersey. New buses typically replace older buses on a one-for-one basis, as in the case with the 85 articulated buses we have on order. As the old ones are retired, we replace them with new ones. This is the first time, these 25 new additional buses are the first time since 2006 that we're actually expanding the bus fleet. And we couldn't have done this, I would point out, without strong support from U.S. Senator Bob Menendez and Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. With the addition of these buses to the new cruiser buses and articulated buses already on order, we'll take delivery of nearly 230 new buses this year, more than one bus every other day on average. One of the things that certainly has been concerned is on the environment, and with bus is the issue of bus electrification. As we replace hundreds of buses in our fleet to improve reliability and keep New Jersey moving, we're aggressively pursuing the electrification of our bus fleet. Last month, New Jersey Transit held a full-day workshop with representatives of the Rocky Mountain Institute to identify opportunities to electrify our bus fleet and to develop a roadmap towards a full net zero emission fleet. From an economic, environmental justice, and health perspective, our goal is for New Jersey Transit to be a nationwide leader in the push towards a net zero emission fleet. We're also moving forward with an electric bus demonstration project in Camden, New Jersey, beginning in mid-2021. It will consist of 8 electric buses and will allow us to study the benefits and challenges of this alternate energy source in real-world scenarios. On the rail side, train cancellations were down 35% last year compared to 2018. Rail on-time performance last month jumped 3.7% to 92.9% up from January 2019. These statistics and many more for rail, bus, light rail, and Access Link are now available for everyone to be seen on our new online performance dashboard, providing an unprecedented level of transparency and accountability at New Jersey Transit. This information can be found at njtransit.com/performance. On the rail side, we also have 17 new dual-mode locomotives on order that we'll be taking delivery of later this year. This will allow us to replace decade-old locomotives to significantly improve our reliability. We'll also be able to replace the 40-plus-year-old Aero 3 cars, the one you've often heard me say, the ones that have the bouncy seats that my kids used to love, but they are, as I say, over 40 years old, with the purchase of our 113 new multi-level rail cars that will begin arriving in 2023. Again, significantly improving mechanical reliability and increasing the mean distance between repairs, or as they say, mean distance between failure in the industry, which will allow for more reliability for our customers. Meanwhile, we've also hired more than 300 engineers and conductors since February 2018. Indeed, just a few weeks ago, I joined Governor Murphy to celebrate 7 additional trainees who are now joining our ranks of locomotive engineers. During the 2-year period between 2019 and 2020, we will graduate 7 classes of locomotive engineers, the same number of classes that graduated in the previous 5 years combined. There's been a update on our positive train control efforts. In December of 2018, we met what was virtually everyone thought an impossible federally required positive train control, TTC, milestone. After 8 years, PTC was just 12% completed towards a December 31st, 2018 deadline when I arrived in February 2018. In just 10 months, against all odds, we went from 12% complete to 100% completion and met that 2018 deadline. After meeting that milestone, I was confident if we could do that, this agency, we could do anything, and I believe that is still true today. And that goes for the ultimate December 2020 deadline for the full PTC certification and implementation system-wide. We had our contractor, as some may recall, at our October board meeting, Parsons, where they talked about the current status of the project and some of the software issues they were experiencing at the time. I am pleased to report that those issues appear to have been resolved, and we have expanded our field functionality testing to the additional rail lines beyond the Morristown branch of the M&E. We've submitted our request to the FRA to enter Revenue Service Demonstration, or RSD, ahead of schedule, which means the testing can occur on trains in revenue service, meaning the passenger service where passengers are routinely riding on. We're optimistic that we'll receive approval soon from the FRA to enter into RSD testing, which is well ahead of our projected start date. While I fully expect us to meet the deadline, to be sure it is a monumental effort that will require tremendous resources and energy behind the scenes for the rest of this year. Away from operations, I'd like to touch base on capital projects. As we work to fully install PTC through our entire network, critically important capital projects are also now advancing that had been long stalled. Many of you know we had an event with the groundbreaking at Elizabeth Station. That's a $70 million project just down on the northeast corridor, a long-stalled project that is now moving ahead and under construction. You'll see that as you go through Elizabeth Station. That was also a result of the cooperation and effort we've made in working together with Amtrak to tackle jointly a number of issues that both of us face. As you know, we don't own the Northeast Corridor. We have a right to operate on the Northeast Corridor, which is owned by Amtrak. One of the other projects there is a $246 million county yard Delco lead storage and inspection facility. That was funded by resiliency funds after Hurricane Sandy. That project was stalled, and that's for a storage yard for when there's bad weather to be able to keep the equipment so it wouldn't be flooded and damaged, as so much of our fleet was just damaged during Hurricane Sandy. That is now under construction with help from Amtrak, and that project just broke ground last month. Raritan River Bridge, some of those in the industry are probably following the procurement on Raritan River Bridge. That's a $600 million resiliency project that had long been stalled as well. That now is out in bid and in process of being evaluated. And recently also the Long Slip project, Hoboken, where we had flooding. There's that long canal along the south side of Hoboken Yard. That project is awarded phase one of filling the slip itself, and that's a more than $400 million project that will have additional tracks, elevated tracks above the flood zone. So unlike in Sandy, where the yard was flooded, these will be above the floodplain to be able for us to get trains in there safely. Overall, in this last year, that means New Jersey Transit has committed more than $1 billion to capital projects. Speaking of capital projects, there's one I should make a note of. I am pleased to note that Monday, United States Department of Transportation issued an improved rating for the Portal North Bridge. New Jersey Transit is the lead agency for that bridge, and it puts us one step closer to replacing this unreliable bridge and reducing delays for our customers. I would like to give a special shout out to our Vice President of Capital Programs, Eric DeLeo, and his entire team for working closely with USDOT, the FTA, and Federal Railway Administration, FRA, in resubmitting a strengthened plan and helping us to get to this point. We also thank the governor for his support and financial commitment, and to USDOT, our partners at the FTA, FRA, and Amtrak, along with Senator Menendez and Booker and our entire New Jersey congressional delegation for their support of this shovel-ready project, which, thanks to our considerable efforts since 2018, is now ready to go. We're now entering into the engineering phase, which is the next step towards a full funding grant agreement and getting shovels in the ground. The project estimate is estimated at $1.7 billion, is in addition to the more than $1 billion in project I just mentioned. On a different note, I'd like to talk about service restorations and enhancements. Over the past 2 years, we've also looked for every opportunity to restore and enhance service. We restored service into and out of New York Penn Station on weekdays, on the peak period MOBO trains, and select reverse peak M&E trains. We brought back the Raritan Valley Line's off-peak one-seat ride to Penn Station, New York, which many of you knew last month, and we got some certainly shout-outs from that. We increased weekday train service on our Avondale station by more than 40%, and we're running a full schedule of weekend service there for the first time in 34 years. We increased weekday peak service on the Newark Light Rail Broad Street extension to being a predictable every 10 minutes, which has been much appreciated by our riders going between Newark Broad Street and Newark Penn, as well as to the local businesses and community. And on the bus side, we've added, extended, or provided enhanced bus service on 12 bus routes over the past 2 years. That's on the number 1, the 86, the 119, 123, 126, 128, 158, 166, 409, 412, 413, and 772 routes. In addition, in December, we permanently expanded bus service on Route 772 to American Dream. This new permanent expansion joins the 85, the 355, 356, and 703 bus routes, all of which began servicing American Dream in October of 2019. These routes will serve as integral components of American Dream's overall transportation plan as it fully opens and grows into a vital economic asset for the region. When combining NJ Transit's permanent and expanded routes with the significant potential we have seen from the Innovation Challenge, I'm confident that we will continue to effectively meet expected travel demands to and from the Meadowlands and American Dream. To be clear, I know we have a lot of ground to cover, but before we're delivering the service our customers fully expect and deserve, and while some challenges are in our rearview mirrors, there are still many ahead of us. Overall, however, when you consider the trajectory we're on and all the progress we've made, you consider the strong support that we've been getting from Governor Murphy and the state legislature, and you consider where we were in January 2018, including hiring more than 2,000 union and non-union employees overall, I think it is clear that we are making significant progress, and that while the best is still to come, we will get the public to that point. Other improvements I'd like to touch on have been in the news as we improve and add service, working day and night to behind the scenes to improve the overall customer experience as well. Nowhere is that improvement to be experienced more overdue or necessary than at Penn Station, New York. As recently as last Monday, trains were significantly delayed during the evening rush hour into and out of Penn Station, New York, while Amtrak worked to resolve significant power issues. As this incident demonstrated all too clearly, our region is disturbingly dependent on two century-old tunnels into and out of New York City. In fact, the number of trains operating into and out of New York drops by 75% when one of the tunnels is out of service, making recovery from delays much more difficult and certainly much more lengthy. Incidents like last Monday's clear underscore the urgent need for additional tunnels, and we are attacking this problem from every angle and working with Amtrak to make that move ahead as well on the federal level. In January, we announced major improvements coming in the summer to Penn Station, New York, which will significantly benefit New Jersey Transit customers going in and out of New York. New Jersey Transit and Amtrak have started a joint project to refresh the ticket waiting area up on the upper level 8th Avenue side of the station. The expansive waiting area will be open to both Amtrak and New Jersey Transit customers when the project is complete. These improvements will reduce overcrowding the New Jersey Transit waiting area, improve pedestrian flow through the station, and generally provide a far more pleasant experience for the more than 90,000 daily NJ Transit riders using Penn Station, New York as an origin or destination. I think is yet another example of the fruits of our renewed relationship with Amtrak, which is providing long overdue improvements for our customers. To be sure, there are very significant improvements that need to be made at Penn Station, New York, and we are working with Amtrak to make sure they are delivered. But the bottom line is we need additional tunnels and working closely with Amtrak to expand the capacity of Penn Station at the track level. Would point out, the people have asked about our position. We certainly do support Governor Cuomo's recent proposal to expand Penn Station train capacity by acquiring a full city block between 30th and 31st Street, known as the 780 block, and building 8 tracks below the expanded station south of Madison Square Garden. We will be participating with Amtrak and the MTA in that regard. A couple other comments on down in South Jersey. The River Line, as you know, service is one of the most effective ways to limit statewide greenhouse gas emissions, and we're always thinking of new ways to reduce our own carbon footprint. So on the River Line, we announced that we'll be upgrading the River Line light rail vehicle engines. The new engines will significantly lessen the environmental impact of operating the line, improve fuel efficiency by nearly 10%, and bring the line into compliance with EPA emission regulations. More than 20 Tier 4 diesel engines from Cummins will replace the current Tier 1 engines. These new engines are expected to reduce NOx emissions by at least 57% and lower particulate matter by 90%. The new engines and other improvements will reduce maintenance costs, improve service reliability, increase the useful life of the River Line vehicles by a full 10 years. The project is expected to be completed by the end of 2023. I would also like to make a quick note on the service side is the importance of our police department, which is much appreciated by many of our riders and certainly by the professionals in that field. We have also added 16 new police recruits. In January, we proudly welcomed 16 of those recruits to New Jersey Transit's police department family. And speaking of welcoming people to the NJ Transit family, I'd like to point out a key new member of our executive management team, Naeem Din. Naeem, where are you? Oh, there he is. Naeem joined Transit in November as our new Chief of Equal Employment Opportunity and Affirmative Action. Naeem was formerly the Deputy Chief Diversity Officer at the MTA. Prior to becoming the second in command for EEO matters at the MTA, Naeem served as the Assistant Counsel in the General Counsel's Office at MTA headquarters. He holds a master's degree in international studies from the City University of New York, a bachelor's degree from CUNY, Brooklyn College, and a JD from Cardoso School of Law in New York. I'd like to thank Adam Felt for his service as acting chief of EEO and Satori Samuda, director for EEO and Affirmative Action, for their leadership while we conducted our search. Please join me in a round of applause to welcome Naeem to NJ Transit. All right, Naeem, now you can get back to work. Next, I'd like, though, as many of you know, at the end of my comments, is to recognize some of the extraordinary employees we have with us today. And today, I'd like to point out the 12-year NJ Transit veteran, Kareem House, who risked his life while on duty last month to rescue people trapped in a burning building. Yep. Mr. House, you want to come on up? We have a proclamation to read. Thanks. Kareem, whereas on January 21st, 2020, Bus Regional Supervisor Kareem House was on duty in Jersey City when he observed smoke coming from a nearby house and went to investigate further. And whereas once in front of the house, Mr. House saw flames and ran into the apartment building and rang the doorbell, Mr. House told the mother and children to leave the house because there was a fire. And whereas Mr. House asked the mother how to get upstairs to the other apartments where the fire was located, and he was told the door was on the other side of the house, he continued to ring doorbells to help people leave the building. And whereas Mr. House went to the apartment where the fire started and used his fire extinguisher to put out the fire, but the smoke was too heavy. An off-duty fireman and a construction worker joined him in trying to extinguish the fire. And whereas Mr. House's priority was to make the scene as safe as possible for everyone, and whereas due to the cold weather conditions, the corner bodega allowed residents inside the store. Mr. House noticed that some of the residents were not dressed properly since they left the building with only the clothes they were wearing. Mr. House bought T-shirts and socks for the residents with his own money. Yeah. Yep, right. Yeah. You wish that got more coverage, right? Those kind of things for New Jersey Transit employees. But now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the Board of Directors of New Jersey Transit Corporation, President, CEO, and employees, do hereby recognize Kareem House for his bravery, heroic efforts, and generosity. Kareem? I invite the board members to come up for a photo.
Board members, please come to the front. Board members, please come to the front of the room. And with that, Chair, I conclude my remarks.
Thank you very much, Kevin. We're going to take a slight departure, and I hope everyone will be patient with us. We are going to go ahead and ask Suzanne Mack to deliver the Advisory Committee report, as she has to get going. Yes, she does, so we need to get her in and out.
Thank you, Commissioner and board members. It's very kind of you. I had a little slip and fall accident and broke my arm and have just recently had surgery. So I really appreciate the fact that you would be able to take me at the beginning of the meeting rather than the end. Although I have to tell you that as chair of the North Jersey Advisory Group, we really enjoy very much listening to everybody who comes to speak, because it's really part of our mission to hear everybody that speaks. But I really came tonight as a sign of respect to all of you. I am so excited that after the governor's intention to reform New Jersey Transit, the first steps were the audit. Now we're working on the strategic plan, and we finally have almost a full complement of board members to help you and the members who have been working so hard without a full board. So it's been, it really, I came tonight. The advisory boards, two, North and South, so I'm representing myself as from North, but Anna Marie Ganella from the South. We are here to advise you. You should consider us your staff, your input. Our mission is to support the Transit Board, we have wonderful commuter groups in New Jersey. But for us, we have done, you wanted to have a bike policy. We wrote the bike policy after public hearings on the bike policy. You wanted to have a fair fare policy. We worked with you, and you had us have public hearings on that. So you should, as you get to know us and as we understand what your interests are, we are here to advise you and to offer more resources from the community to you. So I am here tonight to just welcome all of you, and we are very, very supportive. We meet 10 times a year and sometimes more, but we do have monthly meetings, and my normal thing is to come here and explain just what we did this last month, and we did quite a bit. We're very happy about the Portal Bridge. We're also happy about the discussion on full funding. That's something that we always discuss. Strategic plan, Ray Greaves knows that we always discuss that. But I'm also here and very thankful that Senator Weinberg is here and Senator Gordon now. I mean, while you weren't here, before you were all here, the last 4 years before this administration came in, you two were the people who were trying to get New Jersey Transit back on track. And it's very, very pleasant for me to see what can happen in the future here. But in the meantime, Kevin has been doing more than his yeoman's job. This month, we talked about Delco, and for us who were here during Sandy, we know how important it is for us to have some place we can actually put the trains if we ever have a weather event again. We also had a very great presentation on TDO, Transit Development Districts, where we talked about Somerville, we talked about the great work that was being done out there. We also talked about Hoboken, which has been going on for a very long time, as you know. But these are the type of things, if I was looking at this board, you represent so much talent, but what you will find out is you are now the policymakers of a billion-dollar corporation, but there is so much work that goes on day in and day out. And the fact that through the chair, that you recognize your employees, you understand the value of the riders, but also the employees here, the bus drivers, the train operators, and what Kevin just did before. We have such wonderful people who are part of New Jersey Transit. So I could talk to you about everything we did this month, but I would actually just want to tell you that I am so pleased that I came out with my broken arm to just welcome you. And some of you know me because I come and you've been here before, but the committees are here to serve you, to help you, and we are very excited about the constitution of the new board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suzanne. We certainly appreciate your service to New Jersey Transit. At this time, we will address public comments. I would have to believe, Joyce, that our first speaker will be Senator Loretta Weinberg.
That is correct.
Senator, welcome to the podium. And thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. And thank you to the representatives of the New Jersey Transit Justice for Mr. A, and thank you to the kind gentleman who, when there was a full house here from your group, who got up and gave me a seat. So with that, the member of your Northern Advisory Board kind of took a little of my thunder by welcoming an almost full board to New Jersey Transit. 3 more to go, 2 in the pipeline. I'm just figuring you have enough chairs up there, and you'll have to kind of scooch together a little more when we have that full board. But this was a long time in coming. It is an important first step. I know that the commissioner appreciates being surrounded by the kind of high-level, talented people. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting and talking to at least 4 of you very recently as you came through the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I'm looking forward to seeing 2 more appointed in the very near future, and knowing that Senator Gordon will have the full emoluments of office here, your very own water pitcher, and you'll be able to vote. Senator Bob Gordon, now Commissioner Bob Gordon, I should say, we served together on the Senate Legislative Oversight Committee. So I feel in a way we were the birth parents to seeing this board finally up and in operation. The centerpiece was the creation of a strong and independent board that would come in with transportation knowledge and expertise necessary to make the trains and buses run on time. This meant having a board that would ask the tough questions. So while I congratulate you all, I'm a mom and a grandmom, so I've got to give you some input, whether you want to hear it or not. And it means a board that will stand up publicly for the interests of our hundreds of thousands of commuters. That is the people you are here to represent, not each other, not the corporation, but the hundreds of thousands of people who take public transportation each and every day in New Jersey. I'm pleased to see the beginnings of this board take shape and have been very impressed by those of you who did appear before our Judiciary Committee. I'm glad to see Sangeeta Doshi join Transportation Commissioner Diane Gutierrez-Scassetti in adding some gender balance to what is now a much more diverse and inclusive board. And hopefully very soon that gender balance will be expanded somewhat. I'm disappointed that two board members that we have championed, Bob Gordon, my former colleague, and Janet Chernitz, the Tri-State Transportation Campaign's outstanding transit expert, are not yet fully serving with you. But I'm confident that Commissioner Gordon will be able to do that at the very next meeting. And I'm working hard to ensure that Janet will be here too. As board members, you face a daunting task. As the hearings and the investigation being conducted by the Senate Select Committee on New Jersey Transit seem to demonstrate all too much. But I can tell you that the leadership of the legislature is committed to providing the dedicated operating funding that New Jersey Transit needs, and to provide that funding through a constitutional amendment. We are committed to ensuring that capital funds are spent on capital so that we have money in the Transportation Trust Fund to keep our commitment to voters to extend, pardon me for a moment of parochial interest, but to extend the Hudson-Bergen light rail actually into Bergen County and to build the Gloucester-Camden light rail line. I had to add that to keep the Senate President happy. And we are committed to supporting you in your efforts to fix New Jersey Transit. We are committed. We will talk to staff, dig in the numbers, tell us what you need, and we'll fight to make sure that the resources are there. So congratulations to all of you. Get ready to scooch your chairs over a little bit, and a happy new year to each and every one of you and to all the people who are here representing the wonderful, wonderful residents of the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Chair Gutierrez-Scassetti, we have 15 additional speakers. Speakers, in order to give everyone an opportunity to be heard, comments will be limited to 5 minutes. If there are several people speaking on the same topic, 2 speakers will have 5 minutes to provide comments, and all other speakers will have 2 minutes to provide comments. The next speaker is Sally Gellert.
Good evening. My name is Sally Gillert. I am the the Communications Director of the Lackawanna Coalition. We welcome our new board members. We're concerned about how governance and oversight has been provided by this board, as it is exceedingly rare to hear even one dissenting vote. Except for Flora Castillo, who voted no on 2 items in 2016 and who was not reappointed to the board this year, there has not been another dissenting vote on policy issues before this board since 2003, according to records accessed through Oprah. The only other no vote was Richard Hammer's objection to a personal injury settlement in his first meeting as commissioner. We need independence, guys. The usual unanimity seems to indicate that if any real debate occurs, it happens in private before the public meeting. This makes it hard for members of the public to get a real sense of decision-making at New Jersey Transit. We're especially concerned that a number of advocates who applied to be appointed to the board were seemingly dismissed without consideration, including such well-qualified candidates as Lackawanna Coalition Chairperson David Peter Allen, Len Resto, his counterpart at the New Jersey Association of Rail Passengers, and from South Jersey, Nick Pittman and Jeff Marinoff. We also express our deep concern that not a single member of this board, now or ever to our knowledge, depends for all mobility on the transit you govern. Counties have boards of chosen freeholders. As Chairperson Allen says, you are New Jersey Transit's Board of Chosen Motorists. We campaigned vigorously for a requirement that the board include at least one transit-dependent person, but our concerns fell on deaf ears in the legislature, as former Senator Gordon and Senator Weinberg are well aware. It is imperative that everyday riders' voices be heard in the New Jersey Transit boardroom, particularly when it seems that decisions are simply ratified here. I cannot remember a single instance of actual discussion of an item between the public comment and the vote. Are we wasting our time by showing up? Given that there are others also here by choice and not obligation, we once again ask, where are our trains? In his response to the state auditor's report, Mr. Corbett states that by summer 2020, you will have the staff to operate, quote, the current schedule. However, that is not the full schedule that we expect. When trains were canceled in 2018, we were told that they would be back in early 2019. We are still waiting, and just ending the sporadic cancellations, while appreciated, even by this summer, is not sufficient. Regarding the auditor's report, we are concerned that by the last modifications to the 2 PTC contracts during the period reviewed in August 2019, this project was 30% over budget, and the deadline was made only on a technicality, with a further extension needed. Yes, great strides were made here in a short period of time. Yes, the Christie administration pretty much ignored the PTC mandate. However, the auditor still expresses concern that yet another deadline could be missed. I'm glad for Mr. Corbett's confidence. I hope you're right. We note that the Portal North project received a passing score from the FTA on a key funding test, despite some questionable numbers. We request that the currently missing 21st AM peak hour New York Penn train that was removed in January 2018 perhaps be assigned to the M&E when it returns. This train's temporary discontinuance, quote unquote, allowed New Jersey Transit to cheat its way into qualifying for an $811 million grant. In a recent article in Railway Age, David Peter Allen reported that Tony Kosha, chairperson of Amtrak's board of directors and vice chair of the Gateway Board, has stated that the Hudson tunnels might not last the 9 or 10 years that would be needed to build the still unfunded Gateway project's new tunnels. If Mr. Kosha can't be sure, we certainly cannot. So it may be that the only viable solution is the method used in the Canarsie tunnels. This may be the only alternative we have left, and we reiterate our request that this method be evaluated before an expensive construction project is begun. Governor Cuomo is calling for Penn South. You're supporting it, with or without Gateway. Yet that ignores the fact that it really does not improve New Jersey Transit access at all. Why are we sitting by and not questioning that project? We must double down on the message that repairs are needed first before any grandiose construction project. We are pleased to announce that the Lackawanna Coalition's cooperation with RUN, the Rail Users Network, railusers.net, the New Jersey Transportation Planning Association, and New Jersey Transit to bring RUN's national conference to Newark on May 15th, specifically to the NJTPA building. We'll have more information on that next month. Thank you. Welcome all.
Thank you. The next speaker is Bruce Bergen.
Good evening, Commissioner, board members, President Corbett. My name is Bruce Bergen, and I'm chairman of the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition. For the new members, we were established in 1998. We're a bipartisan group. We spread across 4 counties: Union County, Somerset County, Hunterdon County, and Middlesex County, covering 23 municipalities that are served by our line. We have about 23,000 daily riders and 1.7 million residents within the area served by the Raritan Valley line. Our goal for the last 22 years has been to establish one-seat ride, that is direct service from the Raritan Valley line into Manhattan, as all the other transit lines have. We see it as a matter of equity and fairness. We're very pleased to see the new board members. It's nice to look out and see faces. The December meeting was particularly absent of faces, so it's certainly a big change, and it's wonderful. And I look forward to having the opportunity over the next several months to educating you more about the issues along the Raritan Valley line. I want to note, as has already been mentioned, that we were glad that the Federal Transportation Administration has finally recategorized the Portal North Bridge project so as to make it eligible for federal funds. It's certainly a significant step in the right direction and it's a very important component of the Gateway project. Nonetheless, we remain extremely concerned that the federal government continues to fail in its obligation to the public in failing to fund the entire Gateway project. The construction of the 2 additional tunnels under the Hudson River, and I'm sure I don't have to tell any of you, is absolutely urgent. As documented last year by the Regional Plan Association, and as I have pointed out many times, failure of just one of the 2 century-old tunnels, even for a short period of time, is disastrous. If we didn't need any more proof, the recent problem with the power and the breakdown of a train in the tunnel was absolutely impossible. It caused delay for thousands of commuters, obviously not only on the Raritan Valley line, but on all the lines served by transit. Speaking about a couple of issues that Raritan Valley line has raised over the months, one concerns same platform transfer in Newark Penn Station, so that our riders, even if they don't have a one-seat ride from the line into New York, don't have to change tracks in Newark, which entails running down the stairs, across the station, up the stairs, and hoping you get your connection, because if you miss it, then maybe you're waiting, if you're headed home at night, for another hour until the next train. I would like to renew my request for some statistics on how many trains within a month, a week, however it's easy to do the statistics, actually have one seat, have the same platform transfer, so we can at least see how many of our riders are having that advantage and maybe a way to improve on that. Finally, our ultimate goal, trying to expand the one-seat ride, I was wondering if there's any update on the status of the study that's mandated by S 3574, which was signed into law by Governor Murphy on January 13th. For those of you unfamiliar with the bill, that requires that this organization complete a feasibility study within 6 months concerning how to institute rush hour one-seat ride service along the Raritan Valley line. We very much look forward to that report, which presumably will provide us with a roadmap, if you will, to ultimately get our goal of one-seat ride. Thank you very much. I look forward to speaking to you in the coming months.
Thank you. The next speaker is Norm Suteria.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. My name is Norm Suteria. I'm a commuter in Bloomfield, and I utilize the Watsessing train station daily for my daily commute into and out of Manhattan. First of all, I just wanted to start off with giving kudos to all of you for, in your next meeting, having the executive session after the public comments. That is wonderful to hear, and it's very exciting. I'm sure everybody here, for those that can't see the video, there are probably about 125 people here, and many of them are public speakers taking their time out to be here. The second kudo that I would like to give to Stuart Mader. I contacted him back at the end of 2019. This is going to sound really pedestrian, but Watsessing didn't have bike racks. We still don't have bike racks, but they're slated to be installed in the spring. And that is very, very exciting to have an email and then meet with Stuart at the beginning of December, and then to have the commitment from the operations side, plan out and map out bike racks. Small, little tiny detail, but it's very, very helpful for those of us who want an integrated end-to-end last mile transportation. So with that, and I'm glad that the words equity and fairness were spoken about earlier, because there's one of the pieces of the strategic plan might be to examine transit inequities in the state of New Jersey as they apply to New Jersey Transit. By way of example, the 2 late-night trains, Monday through Friday, that depart Montclair State University, they do not stop at Watsessing. And I found that out when I had a friend over for dinner, go to put her on the 9:30 train, it was canceled. We needed to go on the 72 bus to Newark Penn Station and get her on a train there. It was minor in the whole scope of things, but it's something where those late-night trains stop at every 80% of stops in Montclair and only 50% of the stops in Bloomfield. So just a little gap, you know, we dealt with it, but it's something that would be very, very important to address. And then finally, the President and CEO, Corbett, you were talking about accelerating transformation. I think that one of the things that New Jersey Transit overall could look at this year, interoperability and empowerment. Interoperability. When a train line goes down, how many of you in the audience, by show of hands, have experienced a canceled train? Okay. How many of you have bus lines that run near those canceled trains? Okay, some. But essentially, when a train line goes down, there's a layer of transportation in terms of the buses that run nearby. What's the communication between the train side, train operations, and bus operations? So getting back to that example, that Friday night example. The train was canceled. We walk to the 72 bus. The 72 bus, he charges us full fare, despite the train being canceled, and there was no communication between train and bus. So if you could start to work on processes that would help bridge that gap, that would be very, very helpful and appreciated overall. Speaking to Monday's issues, I was on Facebook, there was a group, and somebody mentioned, Norm, could you mention that they only cross-honored path at 33rd Street and not World Trade Center Hoboken, World Trade Center Station. So I think that that's another examination point that you could take a look at and say, 33rd Street and World Trade for cross-honoring with path would be advantageous in order to get to Newark. And that's that. And then the last thing, you have a wonderful relationship with Amtrak. That's good news to hear. The question is, where am I on the platform? If there's an emergency, or if you're looking to find out where you are on the platform, it's tough. It would be tough to describe to somebody without sort of scrounging around. They have locations. They have location A, B, C, D, E on the New York Penn platforms, but it takes a little while to search for them. I would lean on the board and request that Amtrak do a better job of labeling location A, B, C, D, E in this blue sky condition, so that during emergencies, we don't have to go searching for those labels when we are on the phone with a police dispatcher, somebody like that. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alan Kratz.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. 3 months ago, I'm Alan Kratz from Hoboken. And 3 months ago, I was here talking about the records building and the opportunity to, as I said at that point, perhaps use it as an opportunity for flood risk reduction. I say that because I am, after leaving the real estate department here and working here 15 years, I began a business helping communities find funding for flood risk reduction infrastructure. And 3 months ago, now 3 changed circumstances that changed what I was thinking back then from probably a good idea to even more likely a good idea. Those 3 circumstances are these. I've been doing a lot of work in New Jersey, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, Connecticut, talking with public officials, the DEP commissioners in Massachusetts and also in Maine, the DOT commissioner in Maine, talking about funding in innovative ways our transportation and our historic structures. So the records building is really a good example of what we could do. The changed circumstances are that not only are we hearing from public officials that more funding is available, the second changed circumstance is that you have now begun the Section 106 process because, as you know, the plan to demolish this, which is a structurally compromised building, requires a Section 106 alternatives analysis. The good news about that is that the analysis, which now has 5 alternatives, I believe can be complemented with a 6th alternative. And I understand that that, in fact, thanks to your team, is going to be one of those opportunities. That changed circumstance is that the North Hudson Sewage Authority is facing a June 1 deadline to come up with what the DEP calls a long-term plan for creating in southern Hoboken, which is very flood-prone, a combined sewer outflow storage structure. That's a mouthful, but it's really an opportunity for you as New Jersey Transit to take advantage of a wonderful confluence of situations. The North Hudson Sewage Authority is now considering, across the street from the records building, purchasing a private parking lot for an underground storage facility to relieve the combined sewer overflow situation. My idea is for you to convey the records building. It's an excess piece of property. It's deteriorated. It's no longer of any transportation use. Transfer that to the North Hudson Sewage Authority, which then, as a new owner, converts the building into a facility that will hold 750,000 gallons of excess rainwater during heavy rain conditions and heavy snow melt conditions. The advantage of this is that as the new owner, the Sewage Authority then can apply for up to $2.5 million from the New Jersey Historic Trust to rehabilitate the building. One of your analyses in your alternatives analysis say that stabilizing and preserving the exterior of the building could be $2.8 million. Well, the good news is that the North Hudson Sewage Authority also has to come up with a match, a dollar for dollar match, $2.5 million, which I believe, on the basis of my expertise looking at funding opportunities across the state, could come from the Sewage Authority itself. It avoids the cost of purchasing this property across the street from your building. It also comes from the Hudson County Open Space Historic Preservation and Recreation Trust Fund, the Hoboken Open Space and Historic Trust Fund, the DEP, the New Jersey Water Bank, the New Jersey Transportation Infrastructure Trust, the New Jersey Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund, FEMA Community Development Block Grant, and also private, nonprofit, philanthropic funding from an organization that would really like to see innovative design. So this is my pitch that you seriously consider this. I'm very grateful that this is going to be included in your Section 106 review so that we can move ahead. I think there's some real viability to this. I was in Rhode Island this morning talking with people from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Trust. They're doing many good things up there, and I think we're also doing the same in Trenton to really look at new ways of using old buildings in an innovative way that advance climate adaptation. So again, I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I hope that this gets serious consideration. And I look forward to working with you, and I can recommend some additional funding sources, and I'd be glad to work with your staff to advance that effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Bill Barron.
Good evening, board members and staff. My name is William Barron, Bill Barron. I'm a resident of Montclair, and I'm currently serving as the Transportation Chair of the New Jersey Sierra Club. As I'm sure most of you are aware, just under 50% of all the climate change and greenhouse gases emitted in New Jersey come from autos, buses, and trucks. Encouraging people to use public transportation in lieu of private autos is therefore a paramount strategy for combating climate change here. In May of last year, the chapter received a small grant from the Sierra Club Foundation, Clean Air Transportation for All campaign, to help develop programs that accomplish that goal of reducing auto usage. Over the past 6 months, we've completed 2 reports that we offered to the board. Copies were given to you. In the hopes that the recommendations that we put forth will be accepted and implemented by New Jersey Transit. These recommendations that we've made are low-cost, easy-to-implement recommendations that don't involve major capital funding or other things. The reports were prepared by 2 interns who currently attend the Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy at Rutgers University. The first report that will be discussed in more detail by the next speaker, Matt Bewley, details how providing and promoting frequent bus service, defined as a minimum of 15-minute headways or less, or maximum 15-minute headways or less, has proved to successfully increase bus ridership in peer metropolitan areas across the country. Matt's report identified 14 corridors in 5 Northeast counties that currently qualify as frequent service, and further identified 16 additional corridors where slight scheduling changes can achieve the same goal. He will briefly summarize the benefits of frequent service corridors and the keys to successful implementation. Our second report takes a deep dive look at the myriad and often confusing desktop and mobile trip planning and scheduling apps that are currently on New Jersey Transit's websites, not only the desktop but also the mobile apps. And the report offers numerous examples of inaccurate, misleading, or incomplete information that's provided by the alerts and advisories prepared by New Jersey Transit staff. Our 2 main laments in this area are first that there is no single source for a rider to get all scheduling, fare, and route diversion information for all public transit in the state. This includes not just New Jersey Transit service, but service by New Jersey Transit's contract carriers, by the private carriers, by the counties, and by colleges. And second, that the agency does not distribute service maps, unlike all other transit agencies. Jordan Rosenblum will discuss our findings in this area and provide a few examples of the problems we found. We offer these recommendations in the hope that as New Jersey Transit rebuilds itself from the devastating budget cuts of the last decade, our recommendations can be incorporated into your improvement plan. We're pleased, the progress that has been made that was outlined by Mr. Corbett earlier this evening. And as all of us recognize, there's a lot more to be done, and we hope we can help you with that. As I said in the beginning, we believe these are low-cost initiatives that can easily be adopted by New Jersey Transit and help us all achieve our goal of increasing bus ridership at the expense of private autos. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Matthew Bewley.
Hi. Good evening. I'm Matt Bewley, one of the authors of the report Bill Barron just introduced. I'm here to briefly discuss the report's findings. It's this report. I don't know. Public transit agencies around the country and around the world have made frequent bus service a cornerstone of their efforts to attract riders and to fight climate change. These include ambitious wholesale network redesigns, like the one that Houston Metro launched in 2015 and the one that New York's MTA is undertaking right now. But they also include more piecemeal efforts to expand, brand, and promote frequent bus service. With these efforts, agencies hope to get people out of cars and onto buses, and their approach has been borne out by significant ridership increases in many cases. In the report, New Jersey Sierra Club recommends that New Jersey Transit join these agencies. Northeastern New Jersey, the report's study area, has the advantage of high population and job density and an already considerable network of frequent local bus service provided by New Jersey Transit and, as Bill noted, several private carriers. Out of roughly 60 candidate corridors, we found 14 that provide service frequent enough to meet a common benchmark for frequency, a bus every 15 minutes between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. on weekdays. At this frequency, riders start to see the bus as a show-up-and-go service. You don't have to plan your trip or your whole day around a timetable because you know that if you just missed a bus, one will be coming along very soon. New Jersey Sierra Club believes that with little effort and cost, New Jersey Transit could promote these corridors as a coherent, frequent service network. Around pages 45 to 48, you can see some specific recommendations for doing that, drawing on the practices of other agencies. They include branding the frequent service network as such, producing maps, timetables, rider guides, and other materials, some of which New Jersey Transit already produces in some form, producing these materials to explain the network to riders, engaging communities that will benefit from the network around northeastern New Jersey, and adapting the agency's app and web page to emphasize the frequent service network. Some more detailed recommendations about the app and web page are discussed in a report that Jordan Rosenblum will be discussing just after me. In short, telling riders that the network exists and showing them where it can take them will be key to its success. More ambitiously, New Jersey Transit could easily expand the reach of frequent service with coordinated timetables and targeted service increases. We identified 16 corridors as good candidates for addition to the existing frequent service network. This would not only broaden the network where it exists in Hudson, Essex, and Union counties, but would also bring frequent weekday bus service to Bergen and Passaic counties. And in every county, this potential network would benefit environmental justice communities with high poverty rates and low household car ownership rates. The 74 and the 190, for example, already provide 10 to 20 minute service between Passaic and Patterson during the day. By coordinating the schedules of these routes, I lost my place, 15-minute service could be easily achieved. Rapidly growing parts of Hudson County would also be added to the network. Along JFK Boulevard between Bayonne and Jersey City, the 119 could fill midday gaps in the 10's already quite frequent service to provide truly all-day frequent bus service. And the story is similar for the 14 other potentially frequent corridors that we identified in Newark, Elizabeth, Montclair, Hoboken, Fort Lee, and many places in between. In addition, to make sure that what's promoted as frequent service actually feels that way to riders, New Jersey Sierra Club makes several operational recommendations. These start on page 53. For example, bus priority lanes can be implemented quickly and at low cost, as Boston's MBTA has shown with its pop-up bus lanes. Other measures like traffic signal priority, off-board fare payment, and all-door boarding would all help buses run faster, making the network more efficient for operators and more convenient for riders. Finally, New Jersey Sierra Club recommends expanding study of New Jersey's bus network to other parts of the state and to other times of the day and week. To be truly comprehensive, frequent bus service should be as accessible in Camden and New Brunswick as it is in Elizabeth and Jersey City. And because people don't stop living and working at night and on the weekends, frequent bus service shouldn't either. Moreover, the corridors in the report are highlighted as the simplest and most cost-effective options for expanding frequent service in the study area. A more comprehensive study, like the ones the MTA and SEPTA have started as part of their network redesigns, might find many other good candidates that would take some more effort to implement. New Jersey Transit already moves thousands of people around northeastern New Jersey every day. By joining its national and regional peers and implementing a frequent bus network, it could move thousands more. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jordan Rosenblum.
Hi, my name is Jordan Rosenblum. I worked with Matt and Bill and the rest of the Transportation Committee of the New Jersey Chapter Sierra Club to produce these reports. As part of the grant project, we conducted an audit of New Jersey Transit's desktop website and mobile application. One of the key elements of success for a public transit system is its accessibility features across its services, both physical and digital, so that riders of all backgrounds and experience can make use of the network with ease. While we applaud the recent changes to New Jersey Transit's website, namely its homepage redesign that brings system status, trip planner, departure vision, and MyBus Now to the forefront, many other aspects of these digital services are at best lackluster and at worst buggy or limited in function. A severe hurdle to user accessibility is the lack of a single source for riders to get all scheduling, fare, and route disruption information in one place. For both New Jersey Transit operated and private or contracted carriers, including service provided by counties and colleges. The website's system of service alerts and travel advisories is inconsistent, lacking distinction in terms of what events fall under each category. When such an alert or advisory is in place, it is not reflected in the results of the trip planner function. Not only should this be the case, but a user should also be prevented with alternatives so that these lapses in service can be accommodated. There are also instances where different paths throughout the website lead to similar resources, but they're not identical, and these resources are not always properly updated. A key example of this is seen under the Bus Services tab when choosing View Advisory versus viewing additional information. The View Advisory resource never gives travel alerts, and if there's more than one service advisory in place, it only gives one advisory. And the additional information resource just gives you an index of all the alerts and advisories for a route, even if the time for that alert or advisory has since passed. In addition to the poor user experience when referencing alerts and advisories, we found multiple instances throughout our study where their contents were just inaccurate. In November, an advisory detailing route detours in Ocean City due to road work cited the 508 and 509 routes as being affected, but the 508 doesn't operate in Ocean City. The 507 does. That same advisory also lists Evert Avenue as one of the roads being repaired. Evert Avenue does not exist. In December, a travel alert detailed delays to bus route 66 due to an accident, but that alert lacks the direction of travel affected and the trip branch identifier. These errors and oversights significantly impact the credibility and reliability of New Jersey Transit service alerts and advisories. In terms of content, we believe that New Jersey Transit should provide a wider range of digital map data when it comes to its public transportation carriers, regardless of mode or operator. While the bus system depends on both New Jersey Transit operated and privately operated carriers, the latter is not incorporated into trip planner results. As a statewide transportation agency, New Jersey Transit has a responsibility to provide this information. While most other transportation agencies in the country provide maps of their bus and rail systems, New Jersey Transits are not readily available and are not user-friendly, despite it being the largest statewide transportation agency in the nation. Lastly, the user experience when it comes to cross-platform functions between desktop and mobile leaves much to be desired. Many riders may start mapping their trip from their desktop in the morning or their laptop, utilizing New Jersey Transit's website. But throughout the day, they might move to their smartphone as they begin their trip. With this in mind, it's critical that the functions and the experiences found on both the website and mobile application are replicable and familiar in terms of the functions that they provide and the results. For example, the icon for a departure vision on the website is a train, clearly representing itself as a resource for rail-related trips. On the app, it's presented as a clock. And it's not immediately clear what service that might provide. Not only is this app icon insufficient in terms of design language and philosophy, when compared to its desktop counterpart, it's needlessly inconsistent and can cause confusion. Other instances of this lack of icon continuity can be found, and we believe that by establishing a clear and consistent design language, across web and mobile resources, the user experience can improve to such a point where riders feel comfortable relying on both versions of New Jersey Transit's digital tools without confusions or worries of inaccuracies. Thank you for your time tonight. We truly believe that by building a frequent service bus network and addressing many of the user experience concerns, New Jersey Transit will play a big role in reducing vehicle miles traveled in the state, and the Sierra Club is ready to help implement these recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Tim Sevener. Tim Sevener.
Hello, welcome new board members. Good to see getting there to be a full board anyway, instead of 3 people. I'm Tim Sevener from the Transit Village of Mount Tabor, representing the New Jersey Association of Rail Passengers and the Coalition of Environmental Groups proposing solar renewable plus energy storage instead of the proposed new 24/7 100-megawatt natural gas plant in the Meadowlands to power the New Jersey Transit grid. As I have told the New Jersey Transit Board, rail electrification and now the revolutionary potential of solar renewable rail is the most important way to transition transportation greenhouse emissions to clean, renewable electric power. Europe and the rest of the world is now beginning to is achieving major reductions in greenhouse emissions by expanding electric rail and now beginning to power it with renewable electric power. The Dutch achieved 100% renewable electric rail in 2018. Austria now has 100% renewably powered electric rail. India is not only making major progress in electrifying all its huge rail system, but has just announced 1.2 gigawatts of solar and wind to be used to power its train. Germany, just in the last week or so, announced a 42-megawatt solar farm to provide rail traction power in eastern Germany. By spending public money on expanding public transit instead of subsidizing private electric cars, Denmark has achieved a 42% reduction in CO2 emissions. We need to do the same in New Jersey. Invest public money in green public transit. We would really like to thank New Jersey Transit for meeting with us again January 28th about the potential to power the NJ Transit grid with solar, wind, plus energy storage instead of fracked natural gas. In that meeting, New Jersey Transit admitted that our argument for the feasibility of solar renewable electricity was leading them to allow alternative renewable energy bids to the 2014, long ago in solar technology terms, proposal for a 100-megawatt natural gas plant with only 4 megawatts of solar. That assessment was based on our analysis of the following solar acreage potential, which I've given you all. First off, 115 acres of the Copper's Coke, 100-megawatt natural gas plant can provide 40 megawatts of solar plus energy storage. Second, we have identified 137 acres of potential solar acreage capable of producing 40 megawatts from potential solar acreage on the Morris Line from Hoboken to Maplewood, the proposed scope of the New Jersey Transit grid. Third, we have identified 189 acres of potential solar acreage capable of producing 75 megawatts in the Northeast Corridor from New York Penn to the Jersey Avenue Rail Yard. Note this is all, so this already totals 155 megawatts versus 100 megawatts for the natural gas plant only in New Jersey Railroad properties. This does not include potential solar panels on catenaries, above the tracks, or on transit-oriented development. There is also potential, which is it's possible, for major tidal power estimated 145 megawatts by a just released engineering study. Now that is preliminary, but it shows what's possible if we look for it. We are glad that NJ Transit's engineering staff has finally begun taking seriously our proposal for solar renewable power for the NJ Transit grid. And we look forward to working with them to help come up with a solar renewable solution, perhaps supplemented by minimal on-demand natural gas as an ultimate backup. But we have to ask the question, if we can power the NJ Transit grid with 75% or more renewable energy, why would we waste $546 million on a 24/7 dirty fracked gas power plant? Who is going to buy this electricity, as even BlackRock has announced an end to support for fossil fuels? More and more companies, myself, probably many of you, are buying only green energy. This will be a colossal waste of money, while solar renewable rail around the world is the future. Thank you. And we would be the first, the precedent of this, we could be the first in the USA with solar rail. The rest of the world is doing it. But we could be, New Jersey has always been a technological leader. We can use this money to be the first to do solar rail in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Joseph Clift.
Good evening. I want to welcome the new board members. It was pretty lonely for a while up there. This big arc and just a few folks, huge improvement. And let me just say, my name is Joe Clift. I've been coming here for 16 years. I'm a past head of planning at the Long Island Railroad. I'm across the Hudson Ocean. I live in Manhattan. But you all are really welcome. And I want to say to you, think about the idea, think about your job as board members of not being able to be reappointed. Think of yourselves as a one-term board member. You don't have a chance to get reappointed. You don't owe anybody anything. And then hopefully you can do what's needed, which is to search out the facts, get rid of the fiction. There are a lot of problems in this organization. And if you're thinking about staying on board, that's the first problem. So let me just say, it's really important to think of yourselves as independent. If you do that, I think you can be a major improvement. I want to talk about a few things. Mr. G's people are here tonight. Maybe the new board members can help everybody else solve that problem. It's really embarrassing for me every month to come here and see all the people here. There's got to be a way to solve this without breaking the rules, and I hope that can happen. Locomotive engineers. We still don't have dates certain for any trains to come back. The first thing you do as management, you set a goal based on what you think can happen, you publish that, and then you work like heck to get there. Without a goal, who knows what can happen? The only train I know of in terms of when it's coming back, there's a missing train that was referred to earlier. The 21st train at peak hour out of New Brunswick, 31:22 in the morning, was canceled in early January 2018 because of work at Penn Station and positive train control. Now you have no engineers. And Mr. Corbett, in a letter to the editor of the Daily News, said it'll be back by 2026. That's 6 years from now. That was in the discussion about how Portal Bridge either does or doesn't make the grade at New Jersey Transit. But we need transparency on PTC. We need transparency on the locomotive engineers, monthly reports. Look at what the MTA does with PTC. They're all over it. Now I want to show you, I've got a show and tell here. This book, and most of you have a copy, hopefully, of my handout. You have a piece there. This is a children's book that was published in France. It's written in English, and they talk about, of all things, cable racking. I've copied the little corner here, but you'll see there are cables being put up on the wall. There are no bench walls. The current plan for the Hudson tunnels to repair them is to wait 10 years until you build new tunnels and then fix the old tunnels. Cable racking has been used in the Canarsie tunnels for great success. This should be done. The MTA is asking Amtrak to look at this in the East River tunnels. New Jersey Transit should be pressing Amtrak to do this in the Hudson tunnels. The damage you had on Monday and today from delayed trains is infrastructure. You don't need new tunnels to fix that. You need to get this fixed. Weekends, evenings, it'll work. So I commend you this report. In fact, Governor Cuomo has talked about it. So that's the first page of my handout. You can see right here the cable racking. Second page of my handout is a rather firm statement from the editorial board of the Daily News that Portal Bridge should not have gotten a pass from the feds. That's because New Jersey Transit has been filing false information for the last 4 years. They used to file information that said we're still using 2015 data even though trains were changing. They got caught at that. So when they resubmitted this October, they submitted one less train than actually exists. And on the second page of the handout, you can see here, you see the red lines. 2 of those are trains that were converted from single level to multi-level in 2017. One was put back to single level. But with that, if you go on to the back of the page, you'll see right here, it says NA, the project, if they had submitted correct information in 2017 data instead of 2015 data, they would have flunked. They would have been pushed out of the program. The fact is that Portal Bridge does not increase capacity. It's a 2-track bridge replacing a 2-track bridge. The capacity gain comes from buying new equipment. It will be delivered, the last of it, 2023. All the arrows will be gone. So I urge you to get into this. You board members are independent, and I hope you make great success. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Steve Thorpe.
Good evening, New Jersey Transit Staff Commissioner and new board members. Welcome. It's nice to see new faces up there. I had the luck of, and I didn't think it was luck at the time, but I had the luck of being drafted into the U.S. military during the Vietnam War. And one of the things that that was said over and over in basic training and fighting in the military was the true test is written in steel and blood. So while I congratulate the new board members, my measure of all of the board members is going to be how independent you are. In other words, in the past, and Sally alluded to it earlier, that most of you voted in the past, the board has voted in lockstep with each other. There have been very, very, very few dissenting votes, very few questions asked. It was pretty much a rubber stamp operation. The success or failure of you folks will be measured by me, and I don't know by how many other people, by how independent you are, and by how you gauge things. And that will be what I want. The other thing is to see the new board member from Rail, because I'm a rail person, and I really enjoy that aspect of it, as I'm glad to see you here, but I don't think you have a vote. And as well as Mr. Greaves either, I don't believe they have a vote. Everybody sitting in one of those seats should be able to vote. That's the way I view it. Whether you're representing a union or whether you're representing anything, you have a voice. Mr. Rasmussen, Mr. Greaves see things, and there are people hear things that the average person isn't privy to. They have a lot more insight than a lot of you will have, and yet they don't have a vote. So that's disturbing to me. All right, on to the meat and potatoes. New police recruits. Chief Trusillo, congratulations. I was going to get up there and say, you know, we need more, because the police department has been extremely helpful to me and my wife, who are elderly people, and we greatly value what this police department does for the riders. A lot of it goes on behind the scenes that the riders don't see, but I've been the direct beneficiary of many of the good things that those folks have done. And I'm very happy to see you got 16. I'd like to see you get 32. You know, we can only keep hoping. The other thing is I have a question about agenda item that you're going to be voting on tonight. But it's item number 2002-04 about the procurement of main inductors for the Arrow 3 cars. We're just talking about the Arrow 3 cars are going to be obsolete in a couple of years. Here we're spending $3 million on them. The old mechanical line is don't throw good money after bad. Now, if my old car is falling apart, it's better for me to buy a new car. And PTC has also been put into those. My other gripe is that PTC is virtually a money pit, and money just keeps going there. I'd say Parsons came here in December. I think they should be here at every meeting. And you folks need to hold their feet to the fire and make them perform. There are supposedly benchmarks and penalties for non-performance, and Parsons has failed those. Where is the money coming back to New Jersey Transit to recoup those failures that were built into that contract? I know it's not a lot of money, but it's not chump change. It's $9 million or something, to my knowledge. That's one of the things. Mr. Bergen left, but the Raritan Valley line is a pet of mine. I used to ride it as a kid when it was in Jersey City Terminal. The Raritan Valley line needs to expand service on weekends to hybrid. Once you get engineers and you get a sufficient train crews, plans were made before 2008, before the big mass train offs, to put trains on the weekend, every couple of trains to hybrid. You also used to run every other train to Hoboken back in those days. They didn't terminate in Newark Penn Station. They actually went to Hoboken, which gave people other options. The other thing is Montclair-Booton. On the weekend, you got a train every 2 hours from Bay Street, which is terrible. Bay Street is not MSU. Take the trains out to MSU. When you get bodies, I'm going to be looking to see something done about that. You know, I know the engineer shortage is a good excuse, and it's not your fault. I'm not blaming you for it, and I think you're doing a yeoman's job of trying to get it back. But please, let's start thinking of bringing some of this back. Same thing, Gladstone trains on weekends. Buses. It's been buses on the Gladstone line for about a year or two. When we want those trains back. That's what we want. Mr. G, also want to see Mr. G get a settlement. You've got new board members here, fresh eyes on everything. This man has been waiting for a long time. Please do something for him. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Raphael Wakefield.
Hello, Board. I'm Raphael Wakefield. I live in Jersey City. I have really great speakers tonight. Last time I was here, the board was a lot smaller. I think it was November. But I do find some of the things the speakers earlier were talking about familiar because there were some of the things I was mentioning then. Specifically, the concerns that Blaustein School researchers had, the lack of attention to details in New Jersey Transit trains, the useless internal electronic displays in trains displaying the words NJ Transit at all times instead of direction or next stop or anything like that, the lack of bus maps, the excessive number of urban bus stops, etc. And I agree with Sally Gellert of the Lackawanna Coalition. The failure to fix these things has something to do with the fact that nobody on the board relies on the company. I also want to expand a bit on her objection to the Gateway project. The first priority of this agency should be mobility, not badgering the president or building a memorial to a deceased New York senator. One way to improve mobility would be planning through running trains to New York stations on a regular basis, not just football game days. It is out of the scope of this agency, I grant you, but it doesn't make much sense to me that the Port Authority currently has a monopoly on the express bus lane in the Lincoln Tunnel, which is infrequently used, and yet this company is totally dependent on for almost all of its many of its New York runs. And yet, the plan for Gateway would involve the Port Authority yet again. They're not a good actor. It's not. The point is to move more buses. If hypothetically one of the tunnels were to fail immediately, the obvious solution would be to commandeer more bus lanes. I realize again that's outside the scope of this board. Just feel like that has not been part of the political discussion. Another thing to consider is the necessity of electrifying more trains. I filed an open request regarding the mean distance between failure for electric versus diesel trains because this information is not publicly displayed on the website. I am, however, pleased to report that your OPRA staff's prompt response, they responded promptly. It turns out that your electric locomotives have a mean distance between failure of about 20,000 miles for the last several years, greater than both old and newer diesel locomotives by between 60 to 80% over the last 5 years, that is, annually, even as the electric locomotives have about twice the miles put on them per month. Why then are you still keeping train routes, and I'm thinking here of the North Jersey coastline in particular, which are only partly electrified and require transfers and idling diesel locomotives that must be staffed while running with crews racking up hours and costs, and buying new diesel locomotives as well? The low-hanging fruit of New Jersey Transit's rail network is expanding electrification and buying modern, European standard, fast-accelerating light electric multiple units, like the Arrow 3s, but newer. I'm aware you're doing that with the multi-level cars, and that's great great as far as the existing multi-level fleet, but that should be the standard for any new purchases. It doesn't make any sense to buy any more diesel locomotives any more than it makes sense to have a combined cycle natural gas plant in the Meadowlands. Both amount to the same thing. It's not sustainable. It will have to be scrapped in the foreseeable future. It's a bad investment with sunk costs that will have to be written off. That's my point. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. The next speaker is Paula Rogovin.
I'm Paula Rogovin from the Coalition to Ban Unsafe Oil Trains and the Don't Gas the Meadowlands Coalition. It's Valentine's Week. On behalf of the people of New Jersey, we ask Governor Murphy to have a heart, to protect our hearts, to protect our lungs, and publicly withdraw his proposal for the New Jersey Transit frack gas power plant proposed for the Meadowlands and Kearney, and instead actively support the alternative proposal, which Tim Sevner discussed earlier, for renewable energy rail. What's wrong with the New Jersey Transit frack gas power plant? This proposed power plant is so yesterday. Let me talk briefly about the impact of frack gas on people and the environment where it's fracked. Frack gas poisons groundwater near wells by pumping a mix of hundreds of chemicals and water in order to extract the gas. Frack gas produces toxic air and toxic water pollution. The wastewater brings up radioactive elements, increasing its toxicity. Fracking operations leak methane, a powerful and toxic greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. Fracking utilizes enormous amounts of fresh water. Fracking can cause earthquakes. People living in fracking zones have lost the use of groundwater, making their property worthless and having impacts on their health. We need Governor Murphy to have a heart and show us he cares about the people who live in areas where New Jersey Transit Power Plant would get that so-called natural gas. What else is wrong with the power plant? The proposed New Jersey Transit Power Plant would be in a flood zone. The power plant pollution would particularly impact surrounding environmental justice communities in Newark and Kearney and so on, which Governor Murphy pledged in an executive order to protect. The power plant would be right next to the CXX trains, which carry volatile back in crude oil, tar sands oil, ethanol, and one such train, one similar train, derailed and exploded in Saskatchewan just last December. These trains explode and near a power plant that has fuel and sparks and so on. It puts us in tremendous, great danger. What pollutants would come from the power plant? Heavy metals such as lead and mercury from the pipes. Smog, ground level ozone would be produced at very high levels, causing people with lung and asthma and other lung problems to be in serious, serious condition. It's very, very dangerous, since this area already has an F rating by the American Lung Association for ground level ozone. So adding any kind of pollution, ozone pollution, would cause death. I've been at the meetings, fortunately, I've been at the meetings with New Jersey Transit officials where we've been discussing our alternative proposal for solar and renewable energy rail with battery storage. The last meeting we had in January was particularly exciting, as New Jersey Transit officials seem to be taking this alternative proposal seriously. However, students and many other activists who oppose the power plant need the assurance from you, board members, and from Governor Murphy that the proposal for the fossil fuel New Jersey Transit Power Plant will be withdrawn, and that you will actively support the use of $409 million from the Sandy Resilience Grant for renewable energy rail. Using renewable energy sources, solar, wind, water, along with battery storage for rail is clean, less expensive, and good for our hearts and our lungs. And it will be good for jobs, too. On this Valentine's week, we call on you and we call on the governor to protect our hearts, help us breathe clean air. We need transit, New Jersey Transit, to go renewable and to do this and serve as an example for the whole country. And I brought these, which I'm going to pass out to you. I'm a former school teacher. And the big one's for the governor, if you can get it to him. And I'm giving it to you so that you will keep this in your mind. We don't want to delay. We want clean air. There's a positive resolution for Mr. Grady. I hope with all my heart, with all my soul.
Thank you. The next speaker is Christian Hartman.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Madam Chairperson, and it's great to see an almost full board, so welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking the time tonight. We appreciate it. My name is Christian Hartman. I'm the Vice President of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. For the record, the Alliance's nonpartisan mission is to improve New Jersey's economy through the promotion of capital construction and responsible infrastructure investment. And we include thousands of members of New Jersey's corporate, private, professional, labor, academic, and government sectors. For over 40 years, the Alliance has focused exclusively on promoting responsible infrastructure investment in New Jersey and the region, and that includes transportation, transit, water and wastewater, sand on the beaches, and clean energy. Now, the Alliance for Action has testified in the past in support of the NJ Transit Tracks and Grid Power System, and we would like to go on record with that support once again. We have submitted more detailed comments for the record that you guys are welcome to read, so I'm going to try to keep this brief. I'm also here today not only as a representative of the thousands of Alliance for Action members, but also as a resident of the area and a New Jersey transit user as well. The transit system is vulnerable to power outages in the commercial power system, which are occurring more frequently due to our existing power distribution system and the existing intensity and frequency of severe weather events. Everyone in this room was affected by Superstorm Sandy. The memories of that destruction, I know, are very fresh to all of us. The storm in particular caused widespread and prolonged power outages across New Jersey, and the rail service was affected for weeks. People in emergency services could not get where they needed to go. The impact on the economy in many ways is immeasurable. This program will create a microgrid, and that's one of the first of its kind in this country, providing highly reliable electric power to support service in one of the busiest segments of New Jersey's transit service territory, placing another layer of resiliency and redundancy into this system. It will protect it when the commercial grid faces a power outage, and it will also help as ridership continues to grow, especially if we get the Gateway Tunnel. As a resident of the area, I'm happy that this is going to transform the brownest of brownfields that has been sitting vacant for 40 years and would include a variety of technologies, including solar, along with wetlands restoration. Important to the local economy, the project's going to provide 200 construction jobs and around 30 permanent jobs, and it's a net zero carbon project that syncs with the governor's energy master plan. So the Alliance for Action supports the Transit Grid Traction Power System. We urge its approval. I'm a resident of the area, and I also support the approval of the project. I want to thank you for the opportunity. The Alliance for Action stands ready to assist in any way that we can and forward the conversation, and I do look forward to working with every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have two speakers on behalf of Russell Grady. The first speaker is Errol Kerr.
Good evening. Let me start out by extending congratulations to the new board. You're coming into the board at a very, very good time, a time when you can all give justice to the Orange Brigade. The purpose why we're here, and I must let the new members of the board know that we've been coming here at your meeting for the past 3 years. However, the struggle for Mr. Grady started in 2004 when he was uprooted from his business place controlled by the New Jersey Transit Company. Since then, he has been struggling to get some level of justice. Justice for Mr. G, and I want to say that justice for Mr. G cannot be done because he has suffered in such a way that monetary reward for Mr. Grady is not enough. He has been subjected to the worst kind of treatment that you can possibly find from the New Jersey Transit that has hit his family tremendously. The way the New Jersey Transit has treated him, it has affected his wife. So it's not just in one way. His livelihood has been disturbed and his family has been literally destroyed because of New Jersey Transit. I must admit that there is some form of negotiation taking place right now with New Jersey Transit. So I don't want to mislead anyone. And this has been going on for maybe a month or a month and a half. Some serious negotiation is taking place. However, let me just quickly say this. Justice, if the New Jersey Transit, and I don't think anything has been presented to this board as yet because it's not on your agenda. But I just want to put this out there that when it reaches the board, you remember what I have just said. Justice withheld. If you will withhold justice from Mr. G, it's impossible for him to receive justice. Remember his struggle. His struggle has been for 16 years now. And I've been to meetings with Mr. Grady and members of the board, and I asked the question, where is his liability in this whole scenario? And not one time, any member of the persons whom we are negotiating with could honestly declare that Mr. Grady is liable for anything that he is now faced with. So I just want the board to consider this. Consider it when you're making your decision. We are in February, which is regarded as Black History Month. And not only that, we are in a leap year. So that makes me very hopeful that this year, 2020, in the month of February, a leap year, some justice, some semblance of justice will be accorded to Mr. Russ Grady. Thank you.
Thank you. The last speaker is Mr. Russell Grady.
To the board, I want to welcome all the new board members. It is really great to see you sitting there. I wish you could have been there a bit earlier. I want to thank Senator Weinberg for her support, Lackawanna Coalition and their group. We are beginning our 4th year here, and we have picked up quite a support group. I'm not going to go back and try to reiterate. I'm sure someone has brought the new board members sort of up to date in terms of what the past has been and where we are now. And I don't want to bore you with a lot of facts, details, because they should have done that already. And I know we are in serious negotiations, and hopefully it'll be over soon. I backed off what I had asked for to settle this case, tremendously back off, to try to make it most acceptable to New Jersey Transit. Hopefully, and I had told my people, hopefully, that we would have been on the agenda for tonight, but I guess we missed it. When I told them that we weren't going to be on tonight, that we should be on soon, they said to me, yes, that was said to us in June, and we're still coming back. Let me just stop for a minute, since it is Black History Month, and thank all these people, all the people in these orange shirts that's been coming down here for the last 3 years. We started in 2016. It's 2020 now. Hopefully, this is going to be over and we won't have to come back again. I have some unhappy campers out there tonight. We had a pretty long speaking list, and I pulled their names. Folks, I think we are at a point in this dispute that it should be solved, so I didn't want to bore you with a lot of long speeches if, in fact, we're about to the end of this thing. I want to appreciate all of you, particularly the old ones that has been here. And we've been here with these orange shirts. We wasn't going to give up. We ain't going to give up. But I hope it's over now. I want to say this to you because I'm just kind of a guy. I have no hard feeling, no ill will. But I just hope, for God's sake, that this agency will never take anybody through, no matter who they are, what nationality that they are, what you took me through. And I did absolutely nothing to deserve it. Absolutely nothing. Guys, I hope it's over and that we won't have to come back. And I want to appreciate all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce.
Mr. Grady, I want to assure you that based on your conversations with Mr. Edwards over the past several weeks, your item will be on the agenda in March. It's not a maybe, we've resolved your issues. And
one thing I do is learn to read personalities and people feeling. I think Huey is a wonderful, very fair, decent person, and I appreciate you so much.
thank you, Mr. Grady, but I just want you to understand that it's not an if anymore, okay? And so Mr. Snow will work this next couple of weeks to get all the documentation ready so that we can bring this to the board in March. The board will be fully briefed, and I expect that they'll come to the same conclusions that I did. But government does run slow, doesn't it? Yep. We're like a battleship, sir. And certainly, we appreciate both your persistence and your patience in trying to get this to a resolve. And I'm going to tell you, in the course of my life, I've had a couple of illnesses, and I remember a doctor saying to me something very important, and he's become a very important person to me. And he said, take this in the spirit it's meant. I'm happy to see you, but I hope I never see you again. He wanted me to be healthy, and Mr. Grady, we want you to be happy. Okay? Thank you.
There are no further speakers.
I wouldn't mind if he came back to advocate for funding for transit. Let's just be clear.
So long as it doesn't have anything to do with my health, I'm happy to do that.
We can get it following, we can fund for transit. Yeah.
Okay. Next are the board committee reports. Okay.
Regroup our brains, right? At this time, Board Member Caulfield will present the Operations and Customer Service Report.
The Operations and Customer Service Committee received an update on trends, analysis, and actions for rail, bus, light rail, and access link. The committee also received an update on the cost of service. That concludes my report.
At this time, Board Member Ajmani will present the Administration Committee report.
The Administration Committee received a financial update. This included an update on ridership and revenue, cost of service, key performance indicators, major balance sheet items, attrition and hires, and real estate and economic development highlights.
Thank you. I'll present the Capital Planning, Policy, and Privatization Committee report. Agreement with Public Service Electric and Gas Company for utility services, including inspection and condition assessment of certain New Jersey Transit substations was discussed, as well as the following: community mobility and local programs purchase of 32 light transit-style vehicles with lift, long slip fill and rail enhancement, contract amendment for Phase 2 design services, purchase of main inductors for the Arrow 3 electric multiple unit vehicles, professional services contract to conduct a best practices quinennial study of the New Jersey Transit financial management and budget reporting practices, adoption of new rules. There's 4 of those on the agenda, but those, as I believe Kevin said earlier, have been withdrawn and will be addressed next month in order for us to continue coordination with some of our outside partners. That concludes my report. Yes, sir. Yes, it is. And I would say to you that Deanie and Edmund and I will be really happy when we're not the ones who have to read that every month anymore. But yes, they're presented to you at the conclusion of the meetings every month. At this time, I will ask Kevin Corbett to present the action items.
Before he presents the items, Board Member Gordon has a recusal on item 2002-01 and will leave the room for a short period of time. Board Member Gordon, this way, this door.
Famous last words.
Exit stage right. Joyce, I believe we're good. I'd now like to introduce Eric DeLeo, Senior Vice President, Capital Programs, to present Board Item 2002-01 relating to PSE&G condition assessment.
All right. Thank you, President Corbett. We are recommending approval of item 2002-01, NJ Transit Capital Program, agreement with Public Service Electric and Gas Company for utility services, including inspection and condition assessment of certain New Jersey Transit substations. PSE&G is currently designing and constructing and will own and operate the new resilient Mason and Building 9 substations pursuant to an agreement that this board previously approved. Authorization is requested to enter and to negotiate and enter into an agreement with PSE&G for a new pilot program to provide utility services, including condition assessment services of certain New Jersey Transit substations at a cost not to exceed $7 million and subject to the availability of funds. Substations are high-voltage electric system facilities that are used to switch generators, equipment, and circuits, and to change voltage levels. They're utilized 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to support our operations. They operate and provide traction power to the rail system and to each bus and rail terminal. We ask for your approval of item 2002-01.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, Board Secretary, please take roll.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco? Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried. I will return Board Member Gordon.
All right, Eric, you can't go home yet. You still have a couple of items. The next one, I'd like Eric to present item 2002-02 regarding the purchase of 32 light transit style vehicles.
Yes, sir. We are recommending approval of item 2002-02, Community Mobility and Local Programs, purchase of 32 light transit style vehicles with lift. The Community Mobility and Local Programs bus purchase will provide light transit-style buses to subrecipients for transportation for senior citizens, people with disabilities, and the general public in New Jersey. An authorization is here requested to enter into a contract with Roar Enterprises Incorporated, doing business as Roar Bus Sales, for the purchase of 32 24-passenger light transit-style vehicles in an amount not to exceed $4,383,247 plus 5% for contingencies, for a total authorization of $4,602,409.35, as always, subject to the availability of funds. NJ Transit purchases these vehicles on behalf of subrecipients awarded vehicles in pass-through Federal Transit Administration programs, including the Federal Transit Administration Section 5310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities program. That's a yearly competitive program, and the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality, awarded by the Metropolitan Planning Organizations, or MPOs, in their local initiatives program. The vehicles are used in services designed to meet the needs of senior citizens and peoples with disabilities, and for community transportation shuttles for the general public. We ask for your approval of item 2002-02.
May I have a motion to approve? So moved. May I have a second? Second. Any discussion amongst the board? Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi?
Yes.
Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco?
Yes.
Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'd now like Eric to present 2002-03 regarding design services for the Long Slope project.
We are recommending approval of item 2002-03, New Jersey Transit Resilience Program Long Slip Fill and Rail Enhancement Project, contract amendment for Phase 2 design services. Phase 2 of the Long Slip Fill and Rail Enhancement Project is currently addressing the railroad engineering design of new railroad improvements, 2-track interlockings, 6-yard tracks, catenary power, bridge and viaduct structures to connect the existing rail infrastructure to new passenger platforms in the Long Slip station, and other improvements. This includes structural fill to rail tracks above the base flood elevation with retaining walls above existing grade levels. An authorization is requested here to amend contract number 16-006 with AECOM USA Incorporated to provide additional design services of Phase 2 of the Long Slip Fill and Rail Enhancement Project plans at a cost not to exceed $4 million, and increase the overall contract amount from $8,424,520 to a total cost of $12,424,520. The project includes Grove Street Bridge modification, extension of traction power, remote terminal unit and signal communication bungalow upgrades, completion of the design of the Long Slip Station and passenger rail personnel facility, and installation of 2 pedestal pits at Long Slip. We ask for your approval of item 2002-03.
May I have a motion to approve? So moved. May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the matter?
Madam Chairperson, I do fully support this item. As I mentioned in our briefing, I do have a concern when we have an engineering contract and we increase it by almost 50%. I also have a concern that small to medium-sized design and engineering firms would never have an opportunity for a project like this because they would not have qualified for the original contract. Like I said, I do support it and I plan to vote yes, but I think we need to take this into consideration, as I had mentioned to Eric, for future changes like this to maybe include some of the smaller to medium-sized engineering firms.
I appreciate your comments. We will include them in the record and take that under advisement in the future, the staff, through Kevin. Having said that, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi? Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Morocco? Yes. Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'd now like to introduce Ray Kenny, Senior Vice President and General Manager for Rail Operations, to present Board Item 2002-04 regarding the purchase of main inductors for the Aero 3s.
Good evening. We are recommending approval of item, pardon me, Approval of item 2002-04, procurement by exception, purchase of main inductors for the Arrow 3 electric multiple unit vehicles. The Arrow 3 electric multiple unit vehicles were originally built in 1977 and had a midlife overhaul in 1992 through 1995, during which a new AC propulsion system replaced the original, less powerful DC system. New Jersey Transit currently operates 69 Arrow 3 electric multiple unit married pairs consisting of 2 vehicles, which cannot operate independently of one another. Each Arrow 3 married pair requires a main inductor, which is the backbone of the high voltage system, to reduce electrical losses and improve the electrical system's overall performance. The main inductors installed during the midlife overhaul have reached the end of their useful life cycle. Authorization is requested to enter into a contract with Hitron Corporation for the purchase of 69 Arrow 3 electric multiple unit married pair railcar main inductors, including the tooling charge, in an amount not to exceed $3,249,831 plus 5% for contingencies, for a total contract authorization of $3,412,322.55, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of item 2002-04.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve? May I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion by the board? Hearing none, Joyce, would you take roll call?
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi? Yes. Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco? Yes. Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, I'd now like to introduce Bill Vaccaro, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer, to present Board Item 2002-05 regarding professional service contract.
Thank you. We are recommending approval of item 2002-05, professional services contract to conduct a best practices quinquennial study of New Jersey Transit's financial management and budget reporting practices. Authorization is requested to enter into a contract with Guidehouse LLP to provide consulting services to New Jersey Transit in order to conduct a statutorily mandated study regarding the best practices for financial management and budget reporting at a cost not to exceed $540,849.44, plus 10% for contingencies, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of item 2002-05.
May I have a motion to approve? May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion by the board? Hearing none, Joyce, please take roll.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi? Yes. Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco? Yes. Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
I would like to point out, as the Chair mentioned earlier, Board Item 2002-06, 07, 08, and 09 are being deferred to the next board meeting.
Board members Rasmussen and Greaves are recused from item 2002-10 and will leave the room.
All right, I'd now like Bill to introduce item 2002-10 regarding a personal injury claim of Raphael Robinson.
Thank you. We are recommending approval of item 2002-10, personal injury claim of Raphael Robinson. Authorization is requested to settle the claim of Raphael Robinson through his attorney at an amount discussed in executive session. The Attorney General has approved the proposed settlement, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of item 2002-10.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi? Yes. Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco? Yes. Chair Gutierrez Cacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great. I now ask Bill to our last item for this evening, 2002-11, regarding financial advisor for Transit Grid.
Thank you. We are recommending approval of item 2002-11, financial advisor for New Jersey Transit Grid. New Jersey Transit requires a financial advisor to serve during the competitive procurement process to evaluate the structuring of the procurement and the financial proposals and mechanisms proposed. We are seeking approval for a firm that specializes in P3 advisory service with experience advising clean energy projects. On December 19, 2019, New Jersey Transit issued a request for proposals to 3 financial advisory firms that had previously been appointed to the State of New Jersey Treasurer's Office Public-Private Partnerships Advisors Pool: Piper Sandler, Ernst & Young, and IMG Rebel Advisory, Inc. Bids were submitted on January 14, 2020 by all three firms, Piper Sandler, E&Y, and IMG Rebel. Piper Sandler and Company was a successful bidder based on the highest combined technical and cost scores. Authorization is requested to enter into a contract with Piper Sandler and Company to provide financial advisory services at a cost not to exceed $1.6 million plus 10% for contingencies, subject to the availability of funds. We ask for your approval of item 2002-11.
May I have a motion to approve? May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion amongst the board? Hearing none, Joyce, please take roll call.
Roll call vote. Board Member Adams?
Yes.
Board Member Caulfield?
Yes.
Board Member Doshi? Yes. Board Member Fulton?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco? Chair Gutierrez Scacchetti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Seeing that there is no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We will avoid the roll call vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much.